Hey guys, how's it going? So what am I working on now? Well, I've got this 2013, July of 2013. It actually makes a difference, believe it or not. I have a 2013 Volkswagen Passat with a 2.5. It got towed in. Now they said it needs an alternator. It's not charging, okay? Not charging. Well, how do you know it's actually the alternator that's making it not charge? Does the alternator have everything it needs to charge? You got to have a power supply to it, and usually you need some kind of a trigger wire, maybe a ground, you could have. I've had certain vehicles that have the main power wire going to an alternator. Then they have a power feed sense, like from keyed on ignition, and then it has another power coming from the computer. So you have three powers going to the alternator. So you got to figure out what exactly do you need for the alternator to actually work. Because if you go off the fact that this car's not charging, you may just throw an alternator in it. So let's see what's going on here. So here's the car, and I have my booster pack hooked up to it because the battery was not quite dead, but not enough to start it. And you can see it's reading 11.6. That's what's charging right now. All right. So of course the fuse box doesn't give you any information. The lid doesn't give you any information as to what the fuses are. So I got a test light here, and of course you check it on the battery positive here, and of course you got power. That's good. So now I come here, I have power here, I have power here, I have power here. All right, so you would think you have all the power that you need. See, now the voltage is slowly going down. I want you to see something here, and I don't know what the problem is yet. I got to figure this out. This leg here, this one is actually for the alternator. And when I do this, when I go from this end, this power, and I jump it to this end there, see that? Now it's going up. The voltage is up. Now it's charging. So there's actually nothing wrong with the alternator, at least I think, unless the alternator is drawing way too much. Now here's the problem. My test light, which was bridging that gap, it's getting hot. This end here, that's hot. It didn't discolor, but it's hot to the touch. And as you see, it's not charging anymore. So here, power, and I'm going to bridge it across to here. You can hear the alternator kick in too. Oh, there we go. See that? My test light is starting to smoke. So what is going on? Do I have a bad connection? What do I actually have going on? So I don't know what was done to this car before me. I don't know. It came from another shop apparently. So now I got to figure out what's going on, like why this is doing what it's doing. So I'm going to shut this thing down. It doesn't have a check engine light or anything. The only light it has on is a bulb light, meaning it's got a bulb out somewhere. I'm not concerned about that. So let me shut this down. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check the connections in that fuse box. I think this thing was at a body shop, to be honest with you. I'm not quite sure. The reason I'm saying that is because I see a not so great paint job on this thing that looks relatively fresh. I don't know if you'll see it in the camera view. I don't know if you can see that or not. Orange Peel City. It looks like Rhino liner. So, whatever. I mean, it's not my problem. What my problem is figuring out why this thing's not charging. So let me go ahead, let me shut this thing down, and I may run an extension cord out here with a battery charger for now, just to put some power into the battery until I can figure out exactly what's going on here. Or maybe I'll actually put this in the shop. You know what, that's what I'll do. I'll put it in the shop because I don't have to keep walking in and out. Now that I'm in the shop, I want you to see this. It's not running. Okay, here I got power here. I have power here. I have no power here. So it could be that the alternator was kicking power back into this leg. So could it be just that fuse is blown? Could it be, I don't know, let's find out. Let me hook a battery charger up to this thing while it's in here, and let me take those terminals off and let me see if I can't see something going on. I have my little gun here, and all I'm going to do is this. Nice thing is, I didn't realize that until just now, the nut stays with it. That's kind of cool. Wow. Okay. And that nut does not stay with it, so let's not lose that. Now, does that just pick up it out of there? I don't know. And it doesn't look like it does. Let me see if I can figure out how that comes out of there. So I'm not 100% confident how this fuse comes out of here. I haven't figured it out yet. So I took all the other legs off, all the other wires off rather, and I lifted the fuse box up like this. And I'm trying to figure out, because I want to see exactly what it is. I think maybe this bar that runs across, I think that's got to come out first. I'm going to try to pick that out of here somehow. I'm thinking that's how it comes out. I'm not sure. Of course, I can't find any information on this, on how to do this. And it looks like this piece is tucked underneath this plastic a little bit. So let me see if I can't figure this out and get this out of there. All right, so I'm slowly picking at it here, and it looks like it's finally coming up. There it goes. This edge, this is kind of a pain. Because if it doesn't come out exactly right, it gets hung up on one or the other. So look at that. That fuse is all part of that. That is a weird setup. Whoops. So, problem is, did the fuse blow because the alternators are no good, or did somebody hook the jumper up backwards and blow that fuse? I've seen people do that. Let me... How do I figure this out? All right, give me a minute. Let me try to think about what I can do here to figure this actually out. And here you go. Here's that piece. These are separate fuses that are actually basically spot welded, friction welded, whatever you want to call it, in place. And this one here, this fuse, this is what goes to the alternator. This one's blown. This is a 200 amp fuse. It could be a 250 amp also, but I'm pretty sure the 250 is only for if this thing was a diesel. So basically you got power that comes in here, and obviously when it goes here, that's basically the same thing. It's all one piece. It's one bar running across. So let me just show you. I got my test meter hooked up to ohms. So obviously if I go here where one leg attaches, see, that's good. If I go to this other fuse, which I'm not quite sure what it goes to, that's good. But if I go here, I have absolutely nothing. So the reason that we saw power on that leg before, this is the one where I showed you how it had power, but once I jumped it from basically here to here, all of a sudden it started charging. The alternator must have been putting out a little bit of something to that point, so who knows. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is I actually rigged up something. I don't have one of these things, obviously. I think this thing's like a $150 fuse if I'm not mistaken. I don't have one, but what I did was I rigged up this. That's fuse link. It's 3-wire fuse link. That should be roughly equivalent to 150 amps, I'm thinking. Something in that range. But this should be enough for me to jump from one of these legs back to this point just to make this thing run, and just to see if it'll actually keep charging. So let me get this in place, and let's hook up that wire, and let's see if it actually does what I think it'll do. If not, I'm going to fry something. So this whole assembly will basically drop down kind of like that. When I was having such a hard time getting it off, I think it was just stuck on the studs. So this comes from the battery itself, so that's B+, and as you saw, it sparked. But actually, what I need to do is this. No, actually, no, I will do it this way. So that's B+. Then I have this little guy right here. I'm going to hook that up to right there. There's going to be a nut that goes there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little jumper, and I'm either going to go from here to here or whatever, and then lay the other wire down on top. Let me see if I can figure out what exactly I'm going to do here. And so there we have that hooked up like that. Now, fuse link, in case you guys didn't know, fuse link is basically like a slow to pop wire. It's a specifically designed like a fuse, but it's very slow to pop. They aren't really rated in amps, but I did find a chart that showed what the amperage is, and roughly with this gauge wire, that should be roughly about 150 amps, roughly. So what we're going to do is we're going to shut my little charger off here, and it's set to voltage. So now let me start it up. Let's see if this thing's charging, and let's see if those fuse links hold up. I would imagine with nothing on, there shouldn't be an incredible draw of power from the alternator, and now especially since the battery's charged up. Oops, hold on. Shut the lights off. Always got some lights on. I hate that. That's showing 13.9. That's not on fire yet, so I guess that's a plus. Not the best solder job in the world. I am not leaving that alone like that. That is going to get the new fuse block, but I'm sure I'm going to have to order that from Volkswagen somewhere. But usually you would see this stuff will smoke too before it pops. And I don't see any smoke coming off of it, so that's a very good plus. Alright, we're still at 13.9. Let me shut the key off. Or let me shut the car off. I want to see what this goes down to. 12.9. And it's not even hot. It's not even hot, not at all. So I'm not too worried about that. So, okay, 12.7. Let's go back. Let's start it back up. Let's verify it's charging. So we're up to 13.8, 13.9, so it's definitely charging. And this is not hot at all. I mean, the reason the test light was getting hot and smoking was, if you think about it, I had a very fine pinpoint touching that and a very fine edge just touching this. It wasn't bolted down or anything. So one of two things happened. Either somebody jump-started this thing backwards, which is possible, or the battery was so weak, and I've seen this before, the battery's so weak that you try to crank it over and you're basically straining the system. It's like roar, roar, roar. And if you've ever seen somebody doing that, you do it long enough, you'll start to see the wiring start to smoke. So it's very possible somebody was doing that, and then just happened to be that wire that runs to the alternator, it could also go to the starter. It's possible. I'm not sure though. No, it can't, because the fuse was blown and it was cranking, so it couldn't go there. But so it's very possible it just overloaded it and caused the fuse to pop. So yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. That's a new one on me. So now I'm gonna have to take this thing apart, or we're gonna just at least put it outside and then order that particular fuse for it. And at least this way we can move it around the parking lot. Although even if I took it out, we should be able to move it around the parking lot. Oh, but then again, I don't know what those other legs go to. You know, they may go to the PCM. They may go to, you know, different things in the car that I can't control once that fuse is not out, or once that fuse is out, I should say. So anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. Well, if you got something out of my video, hit the like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right, guys, have a great day. Keep wrenching.